What's up, everybody? This is Give Goodie. How you doing? What's going on? It's East Point.
Yo, what's up? This KhujoGoodie, man, from Northwest Atlanta, man. Dirty South Zone 1. Man, see?
Great. So let's talk a little bit about sort of how you guys got together. That was back in '91, as I understand it. So tell me sort of about the origins of the group. What was going on in '91? How did you guys sort of meet and start working together?
Oh, and to answer the second part of your question, what we do is we are authors, orators, inner city griots. You know what I mean? So please, don't shoot the messengers, right? So anyway, 91. Let me see. I think we all kind of we knew each other from common acquaintances. You know what I mean? Like I knew the big homies from the neighborhood. Names ringing, legends being made. You know what I'm saying? Suckers getting smacked up. You know what I'm saying? But on a musical level, like around that time, Atlanta was what we would like to consider and call a little big city. You know what I mean? So there was a real communal quality about it and closeness, really close knit. So we all knew each other. You know what I mean? As far as Goodie Mob, and we knew Usher when he was very young, and we knew TLC. We went to high school with Chili. Rosanda Chili from TLC. So it's that's just to name a few things, and a few people who went on to become iconic, in their own rights and very famous and successful and representing the city, So, anybody want to cap on that?
Well, I mean, we knew each other. I feel like because we was at that time, it was only a few people doing music, especially the way that we were trying to do music. I mean, like you said. I mean, we was all of us were really hip hop kids. We listened to
Mm-hmm.
the things that was going on in the South. We listened to the things that was going on in the North. We listened to the things that was going on in in the Midwest. But I mean, one thing that we wanted to do when we came into hip hop, and I think we all wanted to do, we wanted to be respected at the time, and to be respected, you had to be a student of hip hop. We was a student of Rakim. We was a student of KRS One, Steady B, Cool C. You know what I mean? Especially Will Smith, Jazzy J. I mean, like you got to look at those times. It was magical to be the MC. It was magical to be the DJ. And hey, man, Will Smith and his partner, they was two of the best at that time.
Yeah, shout out Jazzy Jeff, shout out Ready Rock C. You know what I'm saying? All of the Hilltop Hustlers. Three times dope. My man ES, the Nicholas one, all of that.
So Atlanta was a gumbo of all kind of things, strip club culture, street culture, and that was also the beginning of other cities starting to move into our city. Those early years, those were the first time that we started seeing people coming down and going to school with kids from New York, and seeing the different styles, and kids just kids just really being into this new thing called hip hop. Because when we came up, we was right there on the cutting edge. The first time I saw live bands was at Six Flags. The first time I saw Prince was at Six Flags. Cool in the Game was at Six Flags.
That's right.
So those were the first concerts I started going to. It wasn't rap concerts, and then it started changing. Then became the rap music, and I remember when I started getting in the car with my parents and playing KRS One first album, and my dad like, "What is that?" I'm like, "That's rap." You know what I mean? So it's like to come up in that time where rap was moving out of New York and going nationwide. It was magical to be a kid because it was just so much. And you seeing Beat Street and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. You just started emulating what it took to be in hip hop, and you wanted to be a part of it.
That's right.
So I think here is a good point, which is that sort of people think now. I think people think of Atlanta as sort of the center of the ground zero of hip hop. It is the mecca of hip hop, and at the time that wasn't necessarily the case. So, was most of the music you were listening to coming out of New York, like KRS One and him, or was it, was it what was local in Atlanta that was at the time you guys were making listening to? What was this? Was the sound different? And was it different artists?
Well, I can begin by saying I'm sure that somebody would add on. I don't. I think we were young, and I think we may have been naive in some regard to logistics. You know, and the division. You know what I mean? In that aspect of it, because right off the top of my head, I can say, Africa Bambaataa and the Soul Sonic Force, with songs like Planet Rock. You know what I mean? Like that one song was multiplied by 1,000 other songs. You know what I'm saying? Which would ultimately, become what we considered and what we called skating rink music in Atlanta and Miami bass. You know what I mean? Like, but everything was based off of, this East Coast epiphany, of, Africa Bambaataa. You know what I'm saying? Like, the beholder of the perfect beat. You know what I mean? Like, and it was just that. You know what I mean? Like, that was like God body. You know what I'm saying? So, you couldn't help but be inspired by it. You know what I mean? So we, I'm saying all of that to say that we feel like everything is a continuum, everything is derivative. You know what I mean? Like of its origin. You know what I'm saying? Like in birthplace. You know what I'm saying? So like we can all acknowledge where it originated from. You know what I'm saying? Like, but where it extended to. You know what I mean? Like it belongs to everyone now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you mentioned there's also this idea of like wanting to be acknowledged, as a city in hip hop. I mean, there's that famous moment, right, when Andre got on the stage at the Source Awards and like sort of said, "This has something to say." Like, did you guys feel that as sort of coming up as artists from Atlanta that like you felt you had an equally important voice to contribute to hip hop as people were saying, "Oh, it's East versus West," but there's this like other
I,
it's bigger than that.
I definitely think later on in our growth and development, we might have taken on that attitude. But initially, the music itself, the culture, the identity, you know what I mean? Like it acknowledged us. It was almost like a sonar signal went out, like a native call. You know what I mean? Like we received it. It was interpreted, as our own. I mean, as our language. You know what I'm saying? We got it, picked up on it, and are very fluent in it as we speak.
So I want to talk a little bit about a couple of artists that were sort of like breaking through in the South in the late '80s. The first one is the Ghetto Boys, and I'm curious if like those guys were on your radar at the time. If you remember being a fan of those guys, listening to their music, what was your guys' experience with and relationship to the Ghetto Boys in terms of just like
I got one.
fans?
Well, before the first artist that I saw associated with rap a lot was Raheem. And I forgot the name of the single, but it was a sample of Eddie Kendrick's "Keep On Truckin'," and Bushwick Bill was dancing in the video. So he was like the hype man, for Raheem as the story goes. So that's the first thing that I saw with Rap a Lot. Then the next thing I heard was Willie D's Controversy. You know what I'm saying? So,
Bald-headed hoes.
Bald-headed hoes. And, which we thought was hilarious. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it was dope. It was funny. Like, back then, like, you would have those hip-hop songs where you had your funny song. Like, Lottie Dottie was like almost like a comedic, hip-hop song. You know what I mean? So it had the satire and the sense of humor. So we took it like that. But then when Ghetto Boys came with Grip It on that other level, you know what I'm saying? That's when we was introduced to Scarface. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Ray Red. You know what I mean? Like, God bless the dead. You know what I mean? And got a chance to hear them as a collective. So, and right out of the gate, they were forced to be reckoned with. So we love the authoritative stance and tones of their voices. They were southern, you know what I'm saying, like, but they were also articulate. And you know what I'm saying, like, and you could tell that their lexicon was broader than what we had been, accustomed to as far as southern, hip hop. So yeah, so no, we were taken, taken away with it. You know what I'm saying, like, immediately. Ghetto Boys, like that's us. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna tell you, with me with Ghetto Boys, they kind of gave me the feeling like NWA, but from the South Side. You know what I mean? Cause NWA, when I heard them say like fuck and pussy and dick and all that type of shit. I mean, just some real hard shit. But then coming to hear what the Ghetto Boys were, I mean, they was on
Say
some.
it again, Joe. Say it again.
Nah, I don't need to say it again, folks. I leave that for Luke now. But I'm just saying, it was just let me know that, man, those boys were from the South, and it was like, man, they said whatever what was on their mind. You know what I mean? And they didn't have no. I mean, they didn't have no censorship. You know what I mean? And then they was dealing with Lil J down there too. That's a mystery right now. You know what I'm saying? To this day, I still don't even know how he started out. You know what I mean? But still, that was just incentive to let me know that okay, some boys from the South could definitely do it. You know what I mean? Definitely make it happen. And it just so happened, man. You know, we jumped out there with LaFace Records, and we was able to be global. Everybody was able to hear 4 country boys from Atlanta, but not really speak country, but really talk that real stuff for you to really ponder about. Like, damn, they from the South. You know what I mean? So yeah, there was a big influence on us, man.
I didn't know we was country. I didn't even know we was in the South when I was young.
Yeah,
I
me
didn't
neither.
know what that meant. I had one homeboy from New York who came to our church. His name was Troy. And he does what Gip does to this day. He says everything in third person. I never forget him because I loved him so much, man. He was my friend. I loved him, man. Troy. I hope he out there somewhere, but he was always saying, nah, man, Troy ain't gonna do that. Gip say that too. Gip don't like that. So I got one funny story for you. So like I used to want to when we looked at Breaking and Beat Street, like because Breaking was filmed on the West Coast, but we didn't feel separate from it. You know what I'm saying? Like it just we loved it. You know what I mean? Like and then of course Beat Street on the East Coast. But let me tell you about Troy. So Troy, so he I thought they had the accent, which they did, but they were thinking like we had a Southern accent. I didn't know what a Southern accent was. I knew what a Northern one was.
Yeah.
It just sounded cool to me, right? So, I was trying to talk like I was from New York, and I can admit this now because it's so funny.
Me too.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so I would be trying to imitate him. You know what I mean? Like, and to hang out with him. And I got a great story. So my sister, she's so real. I'm standing there with Troy. I'm like, yo, what's up? You know what I'm saying? Whatever I was saying. you got to think. I'm in the 6th or 7th grade around this time. And she was like, boys, try to stop talking like that. You not from New York, Carlo. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, nah, Mike, he is from New York. She said, boy, that's my brother. He ain't from the Oh, okay. Troy didn't know that.
Troy didn't know that.
Man, that's funny, man. Okay, go ahead. What else wrong? I don't even know if I answered your question.
No, definitely. I mean, I just, I have no idea how much you guys would have been fans of the Ghetto Boys and what they were doing, but it's great to hear that they were happy with you guys. And
I mean,
the other thing about it is, like, they were pretty controversial at the time.
Oh, yeah.
They,
Maybe you can just, for people who are listening, who don't know who the Ghetto Boys are or aren't aware of them, like, what was controversial about them, or in your mind, what was important about them, I guess.
What you think about Ghetto Boys, man? I know you somebody you liked about them.
I would just say really their style, this comes from T-Mo Goodie, their style was important because we all know that hip hop was born on the East Coast and it migrated to the West Coast and the southern states got overlooked. But the Texas state, being that's the South, was one of the first big states that was selling music and a lot of it, you know what I mean? And Ghetto Boys was at the forefront of that, you know what I mean? They were rolling with King J, and they had a really strong team in place. So, it made they knew how to make you feel like they were important, and their music was just timeless, man. You know what I mean? They were real. It was just a different look. You had Bushwick, you know what I'm saying, Willie D, Scarface, it just, man, classics, man. I can go on all day long about them. I love them so much. Every time we see them, it's just so immediate love. Me and Scarface supposed to get out there and play some golf real soon, too. And I'm ready for you, Brad. Please believe it. I ain't giving you no strokes. And, Willie D, man, we know much success, too, on this podcast. He's doing really well right now, man. But, their relevance in hip-hop, man, just the beats, and the rhymes, the rhythm, the southern style, the southern twang that they came with, that represented the Houston state, man. It was just, it was something new and refreshing to music, you know, and to us. We had heard NWA, we had heard the East Coast, you know what I mean. We had heard what they had to give, but that was just something new in the '90s. It was like brand new and just refreshing and hardcore. It just made us feel like it just made you feel hard. You know, Willie D made you feel hard. You know what I mean? When I cut the Ghetto Boys on, man, I grind my face, I drink an old E. You know what I'm saying? I smoke a cigarette. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'm talking about back in the day. I don't do that now, you know. But back in the day, man, that's how I would feel, man. Just real rough and rugged, man. And hardcore, man. Just made me feel strong. It made people feel strong. You know, that's what that music did to me. You know what I mean?
Definitely Willie D's voice and tone, you rhyme like your daddy. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody's uncle. Like they sounded so serious. You know what I mean? Like, and so we took them serious. Like, you know, we took it literal. So, you know, Mind of a Lunatic and stuff like that, and, you know, Diary of a Madman and those type songs. It was like, damn, like, you know, then it became, you know, public knowledge that, you know, Scarface suffered from manic depression. You know what I mean? So, like, it gave life and validity to the lyric. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so, but then they were the first ones to, you know, go to the extreme of what would then be, you know, a subculture or a category called horrorcore. You know what I'm saying? Like, you feel me? You know, with mine, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it was years later when RZA them, you know, touched on that, you know what I mean, with Grave Diggers and those kind of other groups. I mean, it wasn't long lived, but you know what I'm talking about. So they was the first one to do that, but then they got songs like No Sellout. You know what I mean? Like when they were, you know, shouting out NWA and shouting out Public Enemy. It's like, you know, this was around the time Griff got into the situation and had to be removed from Public Enemy, and he was shouting him out like he was dealing with, you know, addressing current events and like, Griff, I got your slack, and I'm gonna hold it till you get back, cause I ain't gonna sell out. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? You feel me? So it's like we was like, yeah. And so, you know, or Do It Like a Geo. They were dealing with they were dealing with politics, and they were dealing with you know, the segregation and classism that went on in hip hop at the time.
Poverty,
you know what I mean?
man. Yeah.
We all know New York is where the shit began, so let the ego shit in. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? Willie D, man, that's the OG.
Facts.